together. And I also want to thank the mayor, Miss Dot Pridgeon. She's the queen of Greenville. We always thank so much. I always need anything, I go to Miss Pridgeon. And also Sherry and her crew for putting it together. And also the councilman. How many councilmen we got here this morning? Raise your hand. We want to thank y'all for designating this building to Dot Pridgeon, because I don't know of anybody that is any more deserving than Dorothy Pridgeon. When I came to Greenville in 1956, that's been a long time ago, but in 1956 when I came to Greenville, I stayed here 5 years and I cried when I left and had to go to Madison. But I had to leave Greenville and hey, with the family, we lived here. And we got to know everybody in Greenville. And this morning when I came over here, I just rode around to see the difference, and there's quite a change that's been done in the last 50 years. And I know this City Hall, of course it was like this, but I put people in jail right in this. We had a jail in the City Hall. And I don't know where Bobby Brown not here, but I don't see anybody here, hardly that was here at that time. Some of them were. And you're out here. I wasn't going to say that now. I wasn't going to tell. But I tell you what, it was not a better citizen in the world. He's all right. But we are glad you came out this morning. Everybody came out, and I thought about it coming over here. If it was raining, we'd go on with the program anyway, because I don't know of any program, Christmas, Greenville Christmas, or any celebration, and I've been here, Lord, I don't know how many years, but we've been there. I've been to every one of them just about it, and I don't know any of them that's been rained out. So this morning, we wasn't going to start that this morning. So at this time, we're going to get on with the program. I'm not politicking for nothing. I'm through. We got been there and done that. But we want to thank Sherry Rowland, the councilman, and all the people that had anything to do with this, putting it together and give them a hand. I know Miss Dot, I'll say this and then we get on the program. I know she's up there this morning looking at us. First day she got up into heaven, she and several of the ladies, I remember Miss Sylvia Leggett and Miss Knowles, that she would go mullet snatching. Isn't that what they did? Mullet snatching. And on Thursday afternoon, all of Greenville closed up, and Miss Dot was gold snatching. So she's up there looking down at us this morning, and I know she'd be proud. So at this time, we're going to ask for the invocation, and Pastor Terry Knight, if she would come up and lead us in our opening benediction.
Good morning. Let us pray. Father Almighty, we thank you for the opportunity to honor your faithful servant, Dot Pridgeon, her faithfulness in living your life humbly and doing the work that she had been called to do. We thank you that her witness to us is of your presence here in this world. We ask you to bless this meeting this morning and this presentation, and that she will be remembered as your child, faithful and honest and true. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Miss Pridgeon. We normally have male preachers, but I tell you what, she's a keeper. You know, when you go fishing, you catch big ones and little ones, and you have to throw the little ones back, but I believe you're a keeper. Thank you. We can't go any further, it's not on your program, but I've never believed too much about going by the book. I just want, and don't know of anybody that's planned, but I know we got a lot of people here that maybe will just give just a few minutes testimony, or some they may had connection with Miss Dot. One of the members of the family first. Would y'all come up? This wasn't planned. He didn't write his speech, but I know they got something good to say about Dot.
I really appreciate all of y'all coming out today. All of y'all could have done something else, but I thank all of y'all for coming. She had a lot of friends here, black and white, and it had to been any Indians, they would have been friends too. But I really thank y'all, and she, as y'all's mamas, they had, all of our mamas had great impressions on all of us, and I could tell some of the stories, but I just want to tell one, probably the biggest one. It was when some Thanksgiving, when some old people was in the park, and she went home and she had seen them, and it looked like they was opening some brown bags. I don't think they was bottles in them. I think it was sandwiches. And she sent me down there to get them. She said they don't need to be down there on Thanksgiving Day. And I always remembered that. I remember some of her sayings, but I always remember mainly her caring about this town. And it bothered her a lot when Greenville was going down. You know, it's hard to see your hometown go down. But she loved the people, and she helped a lot more than I ever realized, because at her funeral, some of them told me about some of the things she had done. But anyway, we will see her again, and you'll see your relatives again. And I thank all of you for coming, and I'm thankful that I had a good mom and daddy. And I appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, the same thing. Thank you for coming, and we very much appreciate it. And she, you know, all of y'all she loved and respected, and we just so much appreciate it. The only thing probably lacking is 2 or 3 cats running by. And that would be appropriate, and a dog to, you know, show up and start feeding him. That'd probably be applicable. But she did love the town, and sort of as a testimony not only to her but the town. We were having dinner yesterday, and I was with a guy, and I said, you know, I was so fortunate to have been raised the way that I was, and just been exposed to the things in a small town like this, compared to, say, even Jacksonville or Perry, you know, heaven forbid. But, when I started going with Darlene, she thought I'd gone to the bottom of the earth right there. She's from Perry. As it turned out, that wasn't the case. But you know, just good parenting from them, Mama and Daddy, and you know, raising Christian children. That's all you can ask for, and that's what they did, and we just give them the thanks for that, and thank y'all for help parenting us. So, you know, probably me more than George, but we appreciate it. Thank y'all.
Who's next? Tim Sanders, I know you got questions. Hey.
Sheriff asked me if I had any special story about Miss Dot. I was a friend and admirer of this genuine lady, as we all were. She was a role model of public service. She loved this town, and she loved its people, and she served it very, very well. Back in the mid-'80s, I just gotten back and started working with my father-in-law surveying, and the town council was considering expanding the cemetery to the west over the vacant area. So we were chosen to do the job, and I came to meet with Miss Dot. And it didn't take long for me to understand that if I followed her suggestions, the town council would approve the way the lights and the roads and the pathways would be designed and laid out. And we did just that, needless to say. She loved this town, and she was always thinking about the next generation and the next generation. So I think this plaque right here is very appropriate for those that are coming along. Thank you.
Tim said that he would go to Dot for suggestions. That about ended it up because that was the way it was. And of course, I speak a word for the clerk prior to Miss Dot was Miss Bird. Everyone remember Miss Bird. She was a very good clerk also. And so now, and I keep referring to Sherry, she's carried right on the tradition and she's doing a grand job. Somebody else. There you go.
I just want to say everything that everybody has said is so the truth. And I worked with Miss Dot for 13 years here at City Hall, and she was more than a co-worker. She was my friend, my confidant. She was anything that you could think of. She was that. I think this is a wonderful thing that y'all have done today because Miss Dot was City Hall. If for some reason she was not at work one day and the people that came in, the first thing out of their mouth was, "Where's Miss Dot? Where's Miss Dot? Is she all right?" You know, and I know things have changed over the years, but we just had such a good time in there, and you know, it was nothing for people to come by and come in and take a seat between our desk, maybe have a cup of coffee, you know, see what's going on, tell us what's going on. So, you know, I thank the council and all of y'all. It's a wonderful thing that y'all have done here today.
Where's Sammy at though? He worked with her so long. Where's Sammy? Come on up here. You don't usually have to ask Sammy to talk.
Yeah, right. Thinking of Miss Dot, I mean, you can't say enough about her. She was a great friend. When I worked here, we worked alongside each other. If you need to know anything or anybody, you go to Miss Dot. And after I retired and all, and she called me up one day. She said, "Sammy, I need you to do a project for me." I do a little bit of carpenter work and stuff like that. He said, "Yeah, what you want, Dot?" He said, "I need me a dog house for my dog." I said, "Yeah, okay, I'll build you a dog house." So I built her a dog house. I said, what all you want in the dog house, Miss Dot?" She said, "Well, it's got to be comfortable. I got them had the winter in it, and I said, it might be a little bit warm in there." He said, "Don't worry about it, put me air conditioning." So I built her a dog house with insulation in between the walls and put her an air conditioner in. She had to have that dog comfortable, and her cat she had to have comfortable. And I built her a porch on her house, on her trailer and all, and she had to have things just so, and she wanted all. She wasn't worried about herself so much as worried about the cats and the dogs. But she was a great inspiration to work with. Thank you.
I never have passed up an opportunity, and I know this person hadn't passed up opportunity. I didn't speak to her before the time. She just got here. I know Lou Miller's got something to say. Come on up, Lou Miller. She's the best superintendent, school superintendent in Madison County.
What a distinction. I love Miss Dot here at City Hall, but also at church. We've always gone to church together, and at church, Miss Dot would always be like a grandmother to all of the children. I remember one preacher we had a small son, and Dot and her husband Junior were conspiring what might they buy him for Christmas, and so was it a BB gun, George?
I don't recall.
Anyway, they didn't ask the parents, would that be all right? But she spoiled all of the children at church, and she spoiled all the citizens of Greenville with her love. And it was always a pleasure to come to City Hall. I've mostly lived out in the country, so I didn't have much city business. But Miss Dot has always been a favorite friend. The dog that she loved so much with the doghouse, when he was near death, she called Richard and she said, "Would you build my dog a casket?" And so he did. Anything that Dot asked you to do, you were glad to do it for her, because she did so much for everybody else. We loved her.
Meet out the tax collector. She's always got something good to say. Come on up, Francis. She's the best tax collector in there.
Like Lou, I didn't have much city business living out in the country, but I remember Miss Dot from church and growing up, especially with George, and just a little older than you, and all the fun times we had. But now, is there any wonder why I am proud to tell everyone I'm from Greenville at work?
I missed one of the county commission. How about it, Warren? You got a good word of wisdom.
When I met Miss Dot, she is truly the inspiration of Christianity. She knew how to show love and appreciation for everyone that she met. And her son, I tell you, I was a member of Kiwanis, and when him and I would go to Kiwanis, he would bring the thought of the day. And I wonder where he get his humor from, because Miss Dot had a way of making everyone feel so warm and welcome. And this day is truly a great day to recognize a very great person. Thank you.
I saved the best for last. Barfield, come on up and give us a word. She's a property appraiser. Now, y'all take it from there.
Miss Dot was a great lady. I can remember coming in here when I started addressing Greenville. And she had lots of good ideas, but she never was negative about anything. She always gave me good recommendations and would tell me where people lived if I needed to know. When I worked over here in the field, she knew everybody. And if she didn't know everybody, she knew somebody that would know where they lived. And she was very special in my life. I've told George that many times. I just loved her very much. And I think this is a great thing that's going on for Greenville. I love Greenville because this is where my mother went to school. So glad you all are here today.
Lila, you have anything to say? You hold them in line. Well, how about the city council of Greenville? The mayor is going to speak shortly. Any other city council got anything to say? JC, what you got on your mind?
How y'all doing this morning? Well, the only thing I can say, Miss Dot, she really lit me up. And that's why I'm where I'm at today, back to Miss Dot. But when I first met Miss Dot, she didn't have enough candy for me because I tried to fill up every pocket. She always told me, just get what you want. But, she always been good, and I'm always going to love Miss Dot, and me and Mr. Joe, we're always going to be friends. And I just want to thank y'all for coming to this event, okay?
Anybody else got any words of wisdom? I know everybody could make a good remark about Miss Dot, and I don't know of anybody that was more deserving than she is to have the building named after her. So we'll proceed to go ahead and have the reading of the resolution by Margaret Popple, Councilman.
Probably don't need this thing either, but compared to most of y'all, I'm a relative newcomer to Greenville, coming all the way from Perry. And of course, if you live inside the city limits, you met Miss Dot and Shirley Hutto first thing, because you had to get water and lights. And So Miss Dot investigated, and she said, "Why are you here?" And I told her, because I had a job up here. Well, who do you know in Perry? And I said, "What's your last name?" And she said, "Pridgeon, and I have a son named George." And I said, "Well, I know a guy named GW. That's him." So anyway, Miss Dot and I connected, and she was a wonderful lady, and took care of us. And then, as I'm about to leave, she said, "What church do you go to?" I said, "Hadn't started that yet." She said, "Well, what church do you normally attend?" I said, "The Methodist." And she said, "Oh, okay." She said, "Right down the road." So anyway, Miss Dot was everywhere, and I think that we'll all remember her fondly, and, never had a bad word, just always ready to help. So with that in mind, the town of Greenville dedicates this building to Mrs. Dot Pridgeon. This is a resolution by the town of Greenville, Florida, recognizing October 29th, 2011 as Mrs. Dot Pridgeon Day in Greenville, Florida. Whereas Dorothy Moore Pridgeon, best known as Miss Dot, grew up in Mosley Hall before residing in Greenville, Florida. And whereas Mrs. Dot faithfully served the Greenville community for over 50 years as a council member, town clerk, and deputy clerk before retiring in October 2007. And whereas Mrs. Dot never knew a stranger, always greeted everyone who came to Town Hall with a smile and a friendly "How are you? You want some candy?" And whereas Miss Dot's kind heart and compassion for others was well known throughout the community, and whereas Miss Dot was a longtime active member of the Greenville Methodist Church, whereas Miss Dot was the wife of George W. Pridgeon, mother of George W. Pridgeon Jr., and George R. Pridgeon, and is survived by 4 grandchildren and 2 great-grandchildren. And whereas October 29th, 2011 is the dedication date of the Miss Dot Pridgeon Hall, located at 154 Southwest Old Mission Avenue in Greenville, Florida. Now therefore be it resolved by the Town Council of the Town of Greenville, Florida, in honor of the treasured memories and lasting legacy of Dorothy Moore Pridgeon, her many friends, citizens of the community, and visitors alike, hereby recognize October 29th, 2011 as Miss Dot Pridgeon Day in the town of Greenville, Florida.
County commissioners, one fella kind of hid back over in the back, I forgot where, but where's Jim standing? He represents the city of Madison. Jimmy, I couldn't see you, you got to come out front. Come on up and say a word.
Because he had someone tall in front of him.
I didn't think I'd count since I'm just a little city commissioner for the city of Madison. Joe's up here bragging about his connection with Greenville. I want you to know that my great-great-grandfather, William Stanley, settled over in the area where Mr. Reuben Hamlet used to live in 1830. My father, grandfather, and great-grandfather were born here. My grandmother, Miss Belle Stanley, was the first woman city clerk in the state of Florida, right here in Greenville, Florida. My granddaddy, James Buford Stanley, was a deacon in the Baptist Church on the Hill, and a member of the Masonic Lodge here. So I have a connection here that I'm very proud of. Most of my family's buried in the cemetery up here on the hill. But I am proud to be here to represent the city of Madison. Ms. Dot was just, you can't even describe her. It's a person that when you saw her, you just lit up because she made you feel good. But we fought some storms and stuff when I was emergency management director through the years. JC was right there in the middle of it, and he can tell you just like Miss Dot could, we worked well together. I'd call at 3 o'clock in the morning and give her a weather report. She never fussed, never grumbled. She was glad to get it and thanked me for it, and when she saw me again, she thanked me again for it. But she was a wonderful person, and I loved her, and I know you loved her too, and I'm just proud to be here today. Thank you very much.
We wouldn't have gotten all, I never knew all that history, but Jimmy he's been around a long time. He's about, I believe you're about close to 100 now.
I was older than you are.
That's for sure. Is anybody anybody that I have missed that would like to say a word before we go to it? Anybody else? Everybody. Next on the program is presentation of the flag. This honorable, outstanding, illustrious Mayor of Greenville, Mr. Dot Pridgeon. Come on up, Mayor.
Good morning. I would not have missed this for nothing in the world. Miss Dot and her family. She was my closest friend, close friend, and also her family they are some good people, and she was a very, very great lady, a good friend of mine. We shared a lot of things together, and the one thing I would like to let you know, that you already know it, she was Miss Greenville. She knew Greenville from one end to the other and all the places in between. You just ask her and she would give you who lived there, who was there, what house is this, and all that shit she could just tell you. Because she knew Greenville. She was her legacy, she left her legacy here for all of us to follow and think on her, because she was a great lady. I am here to present two thanks to the family. And I want to say thank you for letting everybody share your mother, because she was an inspiration to everybody. And I would like to ask Mr. George W. Pridgeon and George R. Pridgeon to come I'm going to do one at a time. I'm not going to do two or both at a time. Well, you the oldest, am I right? Okay, this is presented to the family of Miss Dot Pridgeon in grateful appreciation for 50 years of outstanding service and devotion to the citizens of the town of Greenville. And this one presented to the youngest son, presented to the family of Mrs. Dot Pridgeon, in grateful appreciation for 50 years of outstanding service and devotion to the citizens of the town of Greenville. Thank you all for sharing her, because Greenville is a better place because of her. Thank you very much.
We've all had good comments about Dot. I tell you, George, her husband, was a great fella. I tell you what, I enjoyed, as the word goes, fraternizing with George many, many, many times, and Dot too. They just were a good family. And they were the first ones I met when I came to Greenville. So the next on the program, yes ma'am. The next on our program, after the presentation of the flag, is a gentleman, and Miss Pridgeon, she just come up and reminded me. I know whenever somebody's carrying on and somebody comes up and tells them, said, do you remember so-and-so? Everybody knows that, hey, you forgot something. But I didn't forget it, because I was leaving it to the last day after the flags were passed out. Because this man, I know, I worked with him many, many years in the sheriff's office, and he's responsible for having a lot of things at the sheriff's office that they had, and after that, he came on over along about the same time and went to work with the town of Greenville. And as you all see, as you circulate around town, you got the park, you got so many things around that were given to Greenville through grants. And I would say that the man working with Dot and the city is responsible for Greenville having the waterworks, just so many things. And where is Jim Perry? Come on up, Jim, and say a word. I'm telling you on the next one that leaves, in other words, the last, the most important, I tell everybody they're the most important, but you are important.
Thank you, Joe. I'll be brief. You may not know this, but Dot was my aunt. And I grew up in Greenville. And Aunt Dot and Aunt Lucille were kind of like my other mother. So I was very fortunate. I had three mothers. My own mother, Dot and Lucille, and I knew they were motherly because if you got in trouble at their house, they whipped your butt just like my mom did. So, but she was great. I loved her, and I could tell you a bunch of stories, but we don't have time for that today. But it's really a great honor for me to be able to unveil this plaque in her honor. I take it very seriously, and I'm deeply humbled by it. So, without further ado,
unveiling of the plaque with Jim Perry. Well, I'm going to leave you out, Jay. You were the last one on the program. That's about it. According to the program, is anything else we need to bring up, Sheriff? Mayor? We appreciate everybody coming out, and the weather held off in Greenville again, and Country Christmas is coming up. It'll hold off again. And so Cheryl, how about say the word?
Well, I just wanted to remind everyone that we will be having refreshments at the Senior Citizens Building, so everyone can mingle and talk amongst yourselves and talk, share stories about Miss Dot. Okay? So, thank you.